Good morning. I'm going to call to order the regular meeting of the Monterey Peninsula Airport District Board of Directors, May 15th, 2024. It's 8 a.m. Roll call, please.
Director Gagliardi.
Here. Here.
Sonny is not here. Director Miller.
Add some, which is Latin for I am present.
And Chair Leffel.
I'm here. He probably practiced that all day. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Communications, informational items.
Only one from staff, just announcing that Mary Ann Leffel has agreed to serve as the new Airport Land Use Commission member appointed by the airport managers of Monterey County. So she is official and will be seated at the next meeting.
You're here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll try to do the best I can.
I'll buy your boxing gloves.
Public comment on any item that is not on the agenda. And I'll go to the public in the room first. And if you would please state your name for the record.
Steph, go ahead. Miller, Cecilia. Board members, Jake, for giving me the time to speak here today. As a resident of New Monterey, on top of the hill, where your Airbus arrives from DFW every night at about 500 feet above my house, during midnight, sometimes like on May 10th, it was 12:30 in the morning. And then it departs at 5:50 in the morning again. I'd like to talk to you about what happened yesterday in the Herald. And you all did the same up at Blue. I love our airport, that's for sure. I use it a lot myself, and I'm all for business, but not past 10 o'clock at night or before 7 a.m. At least that's what the voluntary curfew used to be until just recently when we changed it. And yes, the FAA controls all the airspace, we know that. And has nothing to do with what's going on there on the ground. That's you, the airport. It brings a lot of business to Monterey with that decision flights. But it's starting to affect the neighborhood. You grow, and I'm not saying don't, but it would be more beneficial for the rest of us who live here 24/7 who have that the appropriate time for departures and arrivals at night, not at night. So I'd like to introduce to you today the Monterey Fly Safe Coalition, which is a group of residents from the local communities living in the Monterey Peninsula who are concerned about the local impacts on further growth in our Monterey Regional Airport. Our coalition is looking for more transparency, which is exactly what the grand jury report was about, as mentioned in yesterday's Herald. You can find more information about our coalition on the Facebook page or contact us at montereyflysafecoalition@gmail.com. I certainly hope that's why I'm here today. You will add this topic to next month's agenda and have your board discuss it openly and maybe even have some people from the general public show up and weigh in. I happen to live in the flight path. We're a minority, I understand that. Most people don't care because they are not in the flight path. And there's also pro-business who doesn't care either. But I would really like for you to consider this and have an open discussion and be more transparent, like I said yesterday in the paper. That's what's missing, transparency, and thank you for everything you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public on Zoom? If so, please raise your hand.
Those look like they're all for the next two topics.
All right. I'm going to close public comment. We have a consent agenda consisting of 5 items. Is anyone from the public like to pull any of these to discuss them?
Madam Chair, don't want to pull one, but I do need to just make a disclaimer as to item number 5. When that item is voted on, I need to not be serving as your counsel when that item is passed for purposes of Government Code 1090.
Would you want to leave the room so we have,
I don't have to leave the room. I just need to make the announcement on the record that as to that item, I can't be your counsel and also have an interest in the contract. So
all right,
as to that item, I don't represent you, but you do have representation that will approve the contract separately.
That's
Okay.
okay. I slept at a Holiday Inn last night, so I'll stop.
number 3,
Yes, Chair, thanks.
you want to pull it?
If the chair will allow to pull item 3 for amendment to add pick.
Just wait.
Oop, sorry.
First, we'll have to approve the first
Rest.
ones.
Tell you go.
Anyone else like to pull any other item? Director Miller?
Yes, sorry, I don't have the agenda in front of me. I have to switch from screen to screen. But it's the one for the conference. I wanted to add myself to that
Okay,
as well.
that's the same one. So Dino just pulled that one. So I would entertain a motion on items 1, 2, 4, and 5.
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Pick,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes,
Chair Leffel.
Yes, thank you. So item 3, Director Pick, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to add my participation to that conference. Thank you.
And Director Miller?
yes, I would like to add my name as well.
All right, do we have any discussion? I think it's pretty straightforward. And we're doing this prior to the start of the fiscal year, just so that we can catch the early bird rate on the registration and save the district a few $100s, so. Okay, I will close this item and take a motion.
So moved. Second.
We have first and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Pick,
Yep.
Director Miller,
Yes,
Chair Leffel.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Regular agenda items. Item number 1 is resolution number 1872, a resolution authorizing a professional services agreement with Ballard Spar LLP for bond tax and disclosure council services. And I see that we do have a page to insert in the contract so that we're within the federal guidelines.
Correct.
If I may, so just so everyone is aware, we do have Mr. Ben Johnson and Mr. Charbois Mike Charbois from Ballard Spar participating on the screen. They're both partners and are part of these engagements. So I'll give you just a little bit of the background, and then they are here to answer any questions you have about the scope of their assignment. So just as a background, and we covered this in Finance Committee earlier this week, we went through the RFQ process for Bond Tax and Disclosure Council for the upcoming financing for the replacement terminal project. And we had participation and responses from 7 firms. And we narrowed that down based on a series of qualifications and evaluation criteria we had. And we followed up with both interviews with each of the firms, and also after I had narrowed down based on our staff's conclusion, narrowed down to a few firms, we had follow-on interviews with the partners, and also went through each of their references. So based on that, our recommendation was to go to Ballard Spar to ask them to give us a proposal on pricing, which they have and which is part of your package. We also engaged Cole Huber to do an independent fee estimate of the assignment based on the scope of work. And their conclusion is in this package as well. So at this point, it would be our recommendation to enter into an agreement with Ballard Spar. But I think this now would be the opportunity for you to get to know these gentlemen a bit and answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, all.
Thank you for a good proposal. Did you have anything you wanted to add to what Mark has led into?
I'll just leave that we're very excited to be here. We appreciate the thoughtfulness and professionalness from the authority staff as we went through the process, and we're excited to get working to help you folks on a transformative project. So I'll let Mike add any points he has, and then we're happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, just echo that and thank you all for your consideration of this, and we look forward to working with you all.
Great. I'll open this up to public comment. There is no, well, there is public in the room, but they're on another issue. I do not see any hands raised on Zoom. I'm going to close public comment, bring it back to the board. Director Gagliotti.
No questions. We went through this pretty extensively.
Director Pick.
No questions.
Director Miller.
None for me.
All right. I'm very comfortable with it. We reviewed it in staff. I took the time to reread it after our finance committee meeting, and it's pretty straightforward, and it's exciting to get this started. So thank you. I would ask for a motion.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Pick,
Yes.
Director Miller,
Yes.
Chair Leffel.
Yes, thank you. So congratulations, gentlemen. We'll
you,
probably
everyone.
see more of
Thank
you
you.
as we go along, but yes, get to work.
It's exciting. We really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Find us some good money.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution number 1873, a resolution authorizing a professional services agreement with Unison Consulting for airport consulting services. Who's taking this?
I am as well.
All right.
So similar to the process that we went through for Bond Tax and Disclosure Council, the district put out an RFQ for qualifications for the airport feasibility consultant and their work product, which is going to be their independent report, which will be integral part of the bond financing document that's circulated to the investing public. We had 4 respondents to our RFQ. Again, we had interviews with each of the firms. We went through our internal evaluation process. And we had follow-on interviews with 2 of the firms, and I contacted their references for each of them. We narrowed it down to Unison to make us a fee proposal, and that fee proposal is in your package. In addition, we were able to get an IFE from one party who was actually the party that we invited to participate in the RFQ. They said they were too busy, but they were perfectly suited to provide an IFE because this is their area of expertise as well. And the result of that IFE is in your package as well. So at this point would be our recommendation to proceed with Unison. And we have on the Zoom, we have Brian and Don from Unison who are here to take any questions you might have with them.
Hey, good morning. I'm going to open this up to the public. If there are any questions or comments. I see none in the room. Any hands, hands raised? See none raised. I'm going to close public comment. Gentlemen, welcome. Good to have
Hello.
you.
Good
Thank
morning.
you.
Did you want to add anything to what Mark had to say?
I'll just say one short thing and turn it over to Brian. Excuse me. We appreciate the opportunity, appreciate the transparency of the selection process, and we are looking forward to working with you. We've been in business for about 35 years, and I'm the project manager. Brian is the assistant project manager, and he'll be the day-to-day contact. And we look forward to helping you in doing the financial analysis and helping you to meet your financial goals and objectives. Brian?
Thank you for the opportunity. As Don mentioned, I'll be the day-to-day contact. So looking forward to getting to know you all and working with you all. And just thanks again for the opportunity.
Good. We're looking forward to it. Board, any comments, questions?
None.
Director Miller, any comments or questions?
I don't have any. It was
All
a
right.
detailed report.
Yeah, it was well written. I would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the proposal from Unison. Second.
Second,
A first and a second, and roll call, please.
Director Gagliardi,
Aye.
Director Page,
Aye.
Director Miller.
yes.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll look forward to how you tell our story.
Thank you. And we're ready to get to work. Thank you.
We love that. Next, we have a presentation from our architects, HOK, on color schemes for the replacement terminal.
And if we could ask for just a 2-minute break so they can bring some of the boards in that they just set up in the hallway, that'd be great. Thank you.
See you.
2-minute break, Carl. Oh, no, that's.
Ready?
Screen,
That's
the PowerPoint. Director Miller?
Carl, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I was muted. I'm sorry. I can see it perfectly.
Great.
Yeah. All right, restart. Well, good morning again. It's still a good morning.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us here today. We always love coming back and share the progress of the project with you. So wanted to do a couple of things this morning. I'm going to give you a little bit of overview of where we are in the design process and kind of how long we've got to go until we actually hit construction. And give you an update on what the team has been doing. So we basically have two major parts of the project, the exterior and the interior, as kind of makes sense. For the exterior, we've got some selections for panelization of the exterior cladding as well as the colors. So you've already seen some of the sample selections that we'll talk you through. And then for the interior, we just want to give you kind of an overview of the progress that we've been going through. So we won't actually be asking you for, any decisions, but always love to hear your feedback. So yeah, we're in the middle of DD now. We're actually kind of inching our way towards the end. So in the middle of June is when we deliver design development. And that's kind of, let's say, the last sort of true design phase until we go into contract documents where we really dig into the technical details and kind of start preparing both the permit set and the construction set for bidding. So that's gonna be middle of November, I should say. So middle of June, end of design development, and then middle of November is when we would have our bid documents ready for you. So yeah, we wanna kind of walk you through the work that the team's been doing. We've obviously reviewed this with the airport staff before, but we'd love to hear your input. So Alan Bride's with me today, and he's gonna walk you through kind of the development and the selections that we've got for you today. So Alan, you wanna control the screen yourself? Yeah, just forward.
Good morning. Great to see you all. Appreciate your time here to show you. Today, we're going to show you some materials that you can see we brought in front of you. We're also going to talk with you about the exterior building and the panelization. The building on the exterior is mostly metal panel along with glass. So there's two main materials. There are wood elements that are exposed and expressed, and there's a lot of that inside the building, as I think you're all aware. It's a CLT building, which is wood construction, heavy timber. So it's a beautiful overall organization, and some of that is expressed on the outside of the building. But we need your input today on the expression of basically the joints and panelization of the exterior metal panels. We're looking at a couple versions of it. One is a vertical expression, and we'll show some details of that in a rendering. Another one is another kind of sub part of that, and then we want to do a horizontal and get you to kind of give us some questions, some answers. We'll help you through all that if you've got any questions through that. And then we want to go into colors. We have a number of panel colors we'd like to see, from very, very light, from like a white, going towards more of a gray color, and get your take on that. And it may vary depending on the wood, ultimate wood that we get selected for the heavy timber beams. The different wood products like Douglas fir, which is a darker kind of reddish color, to lighter pine type colors we'll share that. We've got the samples in front of you today to kind of walk through that. But please don't hesitate to ask questions as we start to go through this. The first one we're going to look at is the vertical expression of the overall building across it. I'm going to go to a rendering here to start to show what that looks like. So we are standing in the landside plaza before you've actually gone into the building. You're looking at the main glazed area. It's okay to walk up here?
Sure.
Oh,
You maybe could show the plan.
Oh, yes. Let me just walk over here on our plan. So that image you're seeing right now, we're standing about here and looking at this side of the building in the plan. So this is the baggage claim area, and in the rendering, what you're seeing is we're in the plan. Plaza, that's the baggage claim through the glazed area. That's the high roof that you're starting to see, all the glazing that goes around through there. And the rest of it, the lighter color, that's metal. That's all metal panel. This version takes the overall pattern of the building, which is about a 4x4 module you see in the main mullions tracking around the building, divides that into half. So gives you 2x2 panels that are all horizontal that wrap around the building, where there's no glazing throughout that. Excuse me. This version, we have a couple color variations that we'll share with you in a moment, but this is the first one, kind of the basic start of everything is vertical. A little bit tighter on the base of the building in the division, and then as you go up to the main high roof, it goes to that 4x4, so there's more separation between all those. You'll see in all the schemes, there's a datum tracking from kind of that line of the overall cover of the building that wraps around and hits the mullions of the main large expanse of glass, and it wraps all the way around the building. The next one we're going to start to look at is one that subdivides that actual into one more piece. So now again, the 4x4, we divided that into a 1 foot and a 3x4. That's the largest panel we can get. We track that all the way around, so you get a little bit more definition, a little bit more playfulness in the base of the building, and then back to the 4x4 all the way around. The next version, excuse me, is going to the horizontal. And the horizontal is the panelization that just tracks up very clean organization. The base is articulated with this horizontal dimension, and then we keep the vertical above and the high roof that tracks all the way around. This one is very efficient. There are less panel pieces in this one overall. There's no extra need for backing. The other ones need some more backing because they're vertical, the way that it's constructed and actually gets attached to the building. But this version actually is a little bit more efficient in overall layout in the overall building. And then, excuse me, kind of a comparison between the three. First vertical, we talked about simple panels going up, then dividing up into larger glazing pieces. The next one over, we divided that back down with a 1-foot panel, slightly larger, and then the horizontal through there. You can see these diagrams beneath kind of show those main lines that strike to the building. They will not obviously be in reds and oranges, but it's just kind of giving you the sense of how that breaks up. So there's more panels on this first one, slightly less panelization on this one and the vertical, and then the horizontal is probably overall on panelization the most efficient as it lays out in the overall building. Any questions or comments on this right now?
No.
Nope.
Easy to.
Is there a big difference in cost?
I think, Mark, you want to address
Yeah,
that?
we think the cost is gonna be comparable. We haven't done the full analysis. The main difference with these two is that this joint is kind of a fake joint, so it's a reveal in the panel. So these are all single panels. So it is efficient, but because of the height, we need backup struts for these two systems. And then these ones, because we're rotating the panels, we can use the gaskets on the horizontals, but we'll have caulking between those, which is a typical way to seal facades. And this one doesn't need the backup struts. So we think that the difference in caulking is probably going to be offset. So as it stands now, it's a wash between the three. And this additional panel is there's an aesthetic aspect to it, but it's also there's a maximum width to those. So that's why when we break them up in two, we can just do these single panels. But when we try to bridge the full width of that glass module, we have to introduce another joint.
Which, in your guys' opinion, because you guys are the experts in terms of just aesthetic, follows the motif of the entire design, I guess, the best in that regard?
So I think there's strong suits on all three options, but I think our team overall, it's a wonderful question to ask about as it relates to the overall base of the building. And as you go to the high story where you have clear story that wraps all the way around the building, we like the emphasis on the idea that there is a horizontal strength in this. The building is very long.
Yeah.
It lays out, it really reflects that kind of proportion on the base. And as you go up to the upper level area with the area for light that wraps all the way around it, you get this really nice difference between the base and the top.
My personal sense was I like that, but I don't know why I like it.
Now you know.
Intuitively, that's important, right? Because a lot of passengers are gonna come to this building, they're not gonna analyze it like us architecture students, right? They can get a first impression just like you have now. So
okay.
it's a great question. Balance, perspective. And you can see perhaps in these overall elevation, we could bring the slide back to sort of that aspect of horizontality that doesn't quite show in these zoomed in units of the overall versions, but
Portion of the building, the length of it. So again, that horizontality really reflects the design of the building, the scale of that base, and really reflects that that's a really beautiful, strong base. And I think it's timeless in a way that it's not overdone. It's very simple in the move, so you can see the difference between all the verticals here and the horizontals. Calmer across through there.
Good.
I have a question on the metal. I mean, we're the ocean, air, and it eats into everything. I mean, there's nothing that's safe from it. Doesn't matter what. What is the lifetime of these metal panels?
Marty, I'll let you address that, but there are coatings on these will last for decades to come, but I'll let you.
That's what every light manufacturer says. And I have 28 of those lights in my garage right now that were installed about 18 years ago at one of my husband's jobs, and he is sanding and recoding every one of them.
Yeah. So we initially, I don't know if you remember from our concept design, we were looking at like a stucco facade. The RF actually had metal panels installed, so that kind of gave us the confidence, and then we checked it that the price was comparable to stucco. But it will receive a special coating for marine environments, not like in the sea, but sort of this close to the ocean. So that's going to be the same for all of these options, of course, but that will be required. I'd have to follow up and get back to you on what the warranty is that they would provide. But I know that on the RF, we've installed metal panels here as well. Of course, we don't know, it's not 10 years since they were installed, but there is kind of, I guess, evidence that with the coating, they would last like the normal duration, but.
Till
like
you
I said,
retire.
I have to come back with, I'd have to come back with the, with the minimum warranty and sort of like maybe some reference projects that were installed in similar locations to show you what
But our option then is stucco.
yeah, the alternate. Now, we did go with this obviously because of the aesthetic quality, right? But we also believe that for maintenance, and especially on the air side, because access to the facade is not as easy, it's not as accessible, that maintenance will be lower with this than with the stucco solution. Because once you've installed these, of course, if something goes wrong, under warranty, they would come out and replace it, but you just clean them.
Can they be dented?
They can be, yes, yeah. It's an aluminum panel. So if you
Siding salesman.
yeah, maybe not that one. Yeah,
There are very few places where the industrial side of the airport will have ability to touch the metal panels because they'll be up higher. So the tugs and the baggage carts won't really have access to it.
Unless they're stupid enough to drive into it, which we have had happen.
Well, unless because of the height, it's very, very unlikely they'd have to take in a.
Be a monster.
Yeah, yeah, and we don't have those here, so.
You can kind of see it in this elevation. My point is that this is where all the airside traffic is going on. Thank you. So lots of traffic down through here. This is all concrete down through here, and metal elements that are steel. Everything above that, where all this traffic is going, when you've got the tugs where the aircraft are parked, that's where the metal panel begins. So you're way above any of that before you even start to get to that point.
Yeah, and then maybe to add to that, so it's really the passenger level that's going to receive the metal panel. Here we even for the first like 4 feet, we've got a steel shell with concrete inside to even protect the steel beam that's inside of that. So we are very familiar with how crazy some of those truck drivers can be, and they like to show off if they can drive on 2 wheels when they could go around the corner. So the metal panel is really passenger side, and then where people really enter and exit the building, it's really these glazed portions of the building. And now that, of course, we want to think about protection there as well. So we're looking at like a simple stainless steel rail, for instance, that could protect the glass, and maybe even that section of wood, for instance, from impact by luggage or people being careless. But yeah, if somebody wanted to, take a baseball bat to that metal panel, it's going to dent.
Don't quote me, but I'm pretty positive the warranty on the RF building panels is 30 years. It's a good product. It's an efficient product. From from our standpoint, we like it because it ties the two new buildings together. It just aesthetically looks good, but that's our
You know,
Good, I'm good. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I'm good.
go forward. Carl, did you have any comments on this portion?
So, yeah.
Carl, are you unmuted?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with my mute switch, but so I'm hearing two things. I heard there was a price difference between the first option and the other two, and then I heard that there wasn't. I'm just curious, and then to what extent, how big of a difference are we talking about?
I think the price difference that we mentioned was between the stucco and the metal panel. But the price difference between these three options, we believe is a wash. So
Okay,
that can be a kind of a fair choice just based on preference and aesthetics.
sounds good. That's all.
So there's generally a consensus that the horizontal panel works best with the building, overall building design.
Yes, I agree.
I like it, okay.
Great. Thank you. From that point, we would like to move into some of the colorization of the panels to get your thoughts on lighter panels versus darker panels, and it deals with the kinds of wood that alternate between building. Figure that out. That's okay. So the first one, option one, what we're looking at, and you also have some samples here in front of the dais to look at. First one is showing what is known as Douglas fir. It's a very common wood. It's locally sourced on the West Coast. It's easy to put together. It's very strong material for these long-standing wood beams. And you'll see that here on the table, this is one of a section taking off that you can start to see the color indicated on this one. It's not quite the same as you're seeing on the screen. The colorization is slightly off, but wood, as you know, will change. It'll start to age and it'll get darker as it gets up. This, we're trying to look for the kind of beautiful wood that's actually in the project. It's metal panels that are a good contrast, that they're not trying to blend in the same color, that there's contrast between that wood. So what you're seeing here is the idea of Douglas fir beams, and then the overall color would be a lighter white color. This rendering shows that white color being on the horizontal. As you see, there's a nice contrast of white overall finish. This is the lightest of the panels that we have, and we have a chance. Sure. Right there, that's the white. Next version of this, still looking at the overall Douglas fir, is a lighter gray. It's going from pure white to a grayish. Start to see this, but it's still in the light range, but it's got a little bit of gray. Still would work well with the Douglas fir. Other colors you're seeing on here, this would be the terrazzo flooring you're seeing in number 5 and number 6. That's in the building overall, and then number 2 is the color of the walls inside the building. 4 is the mullion colors. You want the mullions to be accented so that you actually get from that lighter pants. Very nice. Couple colors here are maybe more dark range. Somewhere between those two, that definitely have some all mullions to wrap around.
I'm sorry, what is that term you're using? Mullions?
So it's the whole piece of between
The-
the windows. that
The
makes-
windows.
Thanks.
And then just to clarify, these are pretty much already selected. This is external, this is internal, or this is?
This is also an external, it's an option for the external color. So it's when we're thinking about the Douglas fir piece, this element, which is gonna be the wood beams, those colors go quite well.
Hmm.
That's pretty, those are on the lighter side, we're gonna go to some darker colors you can see.
Okay.
Good.
Kind of consistent with-
But
Sticky.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm putting them upside down, so
But maybe to,
we don't have to pry them off the
yeah, just to,
dais.
just put the, in the context that you're looking for is, we're showing a palette because
Yeah.
we can't just give you samples of the metal panel and say pick one, but you're like, well, what's gonna happen around it? So that's why we're kind of showing it together so you kind of understand
Yeah, I
the
like that.
relationship of the metal panel with the wood, and the terrazzo is consistent, but then you can see the mullion color kind of perhaps changes a little bit in the interior partition. So that's why we're showing you all these colors, but the intent is that we kind of come to some resolution on the metal panel.
And that's today. We have to figure that out.
Yeah.
And maybe to take some of the pressure off that.
Yeah.
We're negotiating a little bit, is I think the most important thing to learn today is if there's something you really don't like.
All right.
So that's maybe a little easier to point out.
Exactly, if we get a kind of a tone range that you like, it's not exactly these colors, but it's lighter tones, darker tone. From that, we can take that to refine. That was kind of, the Douglas fir main wood, and then this is the light gray. And this is that rendering, which I think we have these all tied together, very, you can see them all in line, but that's the lighter gray.
That's not the darkest mullion, is it?
It's, that one is kind of a lighter, color mullion. It's very on our renderings.
No, doesn't look like it's that dark.
Little lighter, but yeah, it depends on how the sun hits that, because I want to have some mica or reflection in it. But varies, how the light hits it.
This is mullion
Yeah,
also.
that'd be it, that'd be it.
Okay.
And to that point too, on those, you have a range, we'll continue to work with you all on that as we tune that up, depending on the selection of the metal panels.
I'll just say for myself, I think that dark is too dark. Compare,
Very dark line.
yeah, for me, because the rest is light and airy, and then I think putting that is just too much of a contrast. Everything else is white and light. This one is better, but does this create a problem if it's reflective at all with the air line? You FAA people?
It should be no more reflective.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm totally following your lead. I don't have an aesthetic problem.
Well, I don't either, but I just,
Ditto.
Yeah.
it kind of looks to me like that's the color up there, and I find that pleasing. This just is, yeah, for me, it gives it too much definition.
Something that's complementary but not so different that it stands out.
Yeah.
The next one, and again, that's a sample here. One is a spruce pine fir mix of wood, which is this one, right? That's here. Mixture of woods that bring together. It's a little bit different. It's colorization. We think that a warm gray exterior panel might be the best with this. One exercise this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
I like this to see the
No, it's not too bad.
contrast.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Thing.
So these are the two options for the exterior panel?
Yeah, on this one, this is the lighter wood range, and that's the
Mullion.
That's the mullion darker.
This is kind of what, isn't this kind of the palette? Like, it's not that super dark, it's the lighter.
Yeah, the one I just have a problem with black.
Yeah.
So I have a question on these woods.
Yes.
And again, it's function. So which of these woods is stronger to hold up against weather and termites?
Yeah, so all these, or these three woods are all the kind of the typical mass timber construction. So that's why we've selected it. One of the reasons perhaps that we don't necessarily want to ask you to pick one of these wood types is that if we only specify one, there's some limitation in what the contractors can provide. So we might want to leave the option open a little bit on the type of wood.
Does it all have to be the same, or is there a chance that supply and demand would drive, it would be a mixing of?
Yeah, there's a possibility, which is, and the more freedom you give the contractor, the better chance to have a good price. And the only mix would be that let's say the ceiling, so the underside of the roof, would be a different type than the beams, but it wouldn't be one beam. Something, and then
it wouldn't be so obvious.
That would all be consistent. Yeah. Make sure that. So maybe just bringing these all a little closer to you. Well, we can.
Yeah, it's terrific.
And
Show the blueprint for that. Just looking at the slightly lighter wood and then the gray tones. So very light when you saw first rendering this down mid range. Great. Starts very sharp. A little bit of contrast.
When you say lighter, is it lighter than that, no,
it's probably still gonna be in this range.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a. Still have that contrast between, so it's not exactly everything is the same. We want to make sure that the glazing is, that there's a good complementary.
Yeah.
That goes with the.
Okay.
You can just tip it out.
Yeah. There we go.
Now they don't stick, now they're gonna.
Now they're gonna slide. Grab it. This almost looks like browns.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are these browns?
Yeah, they're more in the brown.
Yeah, the browns.
The one thing about this wood is part of the thing. This wood is coming, and it's truly coming from Europe. And it's not every company would have it certified to meet US standards. So there's a little bit of a challenge with this that we've selected that we may have some issues. And on a company that's fine. That was for local.
Don't we get, it's infrastructure points, right? Don't we get infrastructure funding points if we have domestic suppliers?
I think we do, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we do.
I know in my business, that's a big deal.
Yeah, there's also some question about Buy American.
That's all
Yeah.
of that, that's what I'm getting at.
So we have the money.
Right.
And especially if you go TIFIA, it gets even stricter.
Totally. So, yeah,
So that one's a no.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge. You want to share, you see.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah.
We don't want a
Maybe-
terminal that waits till 2030 because there was a supply chain issue.
Yeah, right.
yeah, that's one of the reasons, that's another reason, I should say, to leave the specifications open a little bit. I do want to clarify that even the European, it's manufactured in the US, so it's basically the rough timber.
Yeah.
comes In the US, but actually
Yeah,
making
yeah,
the
yeah.
beams and making the connections.
Yeah.
That's still done in the US, but realize that we'd have to, see what the benefits are of having it all US, because some of the wood comes of Canada that might still be okay, but there's nuances with
Who
everything.
likes us today?
And then the rendering of that one, if the wood is expressed in this rendering, the wider wood you're looking at, and then the gray you see.
So we have probably 200 and some almost 300 mornings out of every year that are that color. So I personally would like to see a whiter, lighter color, just so it contrasts against the sky. Otherwise, we're just gray. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I have to be careful that I'm not stating for the board. It's everybody's opinion, but,
Which two are locally sourced? Or more locally sourced?
So the Douglas fir that you're seeing here on the far left, this is Douglas fir that you can find throughout the Northwest and throughout the US. It's a very strong wood. This one is also local, and I don't think we possibly. This is the one that's maybe constructed in the US, ultimately, a lot of that maybe coming from other parts of Europe or Canada or wherever.
it's out. It's gone.
Marianne, I like what you're saying about the light color on the panels. So the left one has the lighter panel on the exterior, contrasts with a little bit darker wood.
Nice contrast.
You had concerns about too dark a whatever that is, mullion.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's too then definitive of blocks as opposed to it kind of blends in and stays in the color palette.
Yeah, but you had a lighter version.
Lighter elements. Things will change as you develop this.
Yeah, good with the left one?
I like the left one. I
Yes.
think the wood is warmer
Yes.
and it gives more that it is wood, as opposed to maybe a man-made product.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carl.
Mr. Miller, would you have an opinion here?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just having a hard time with my screen. I agree. I like the Doug fir. I think that's a better looking wood. And I know it's a lot stronger than a pine. So I like the fir.
What we're gonna do now is
Can-
bring you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Carl, did you have more?
No, I just wanted to know if you could hear me. There was a long pregnant pause there.
Yeah, we heard you.
Okay, thank you.
Very helpful. Appreciate that. What we'd like to do is get inside the building, show you some things you haven't seen recently. Still being refined, but we're over here, what we've just gone through, we'll jump in. In progress snapshot. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is the check-in ticketing position. We've just been talking about all of the wood. This is the plaza that's just off screen. We're just taking the images of the building, see all the glazing, the daylight above, and then the wood beams and all the agents. Volunteers come into the building, they're greeted right out the bat. Beautiful daylit space with the wood on the ceiling areas. Very, very cool. We're developing the palette more, which we'll bring to you later and share with you with all the other colors and materials. Just giving you kind of an overall progress snapshot. These are the spaces that have made great looks with a few different rooms, and work around the space that we have lots of comments.
What kind of floors are you proposing?
Terrazzo floors, so terrazzo is a cementitious, so they grind it and it's a beautiful finish that lasts for a trip. I mean, it really is an amazing hard surface that's easy to roll your bags across, easy to maintain, it's very strong. But it will really be something that you see in a a lot of airports, we can mix colors and different tones and things, and we'll bring those to you and share those kinds of variations. We'll paint kind of a dark version that might accent a circulation element that you see here, and then a lighter where you make stop and pause and do something with ticketing or baggage or food. So we'll be bringing those samples to you.
Slippery?
No, I mean, no slipperier than you'd see with tile or anything. There's a coating that goes on top of it, to keep it from slipping, so you don't see that problem. Again, many airports, most of the airports in the country probably.
Yes, San Jose is principally terrazzo floor.
And I don't like to walk on it. I've told you that before. You all don't have mobility issues. If you have neurological or mobility issues, that kind of a floor it's daunting because you feel like you've got a long path and I don't know, it's just, I'm older. I'm just telling you, that's how we look at things. So I get it. It's really easy to keep clean. It's easy to roll bags on. I get all that. Just a little bit of a like, oh boy, now what am I stepping on?
May I ask, is it, I can think of two things. One, it's maybe there's large expenses of it, so you feel like you can't sort of.
Yeah, that's
create a
part of it.
rhythm in your step.
When I go to San Jose, I go into the gate area and walk on the carpet. Because I do not like to walk on that. So
Does the reflectivity have something to do with it?
I don't
Or
think
not?
so. It's just,
No.
I'm unsteady on my feet and, once you get past 75, you're more likely to fall. So I'm careful of where I put my feet and how I put them and what I'm putting them on. So
Yeah. Yeah, because if it's about the rhythm of sort of joints, so you can kind of see where you go in, these terrazzo expanses are going to have these metal strips, divider strips, to prevent cracking, but we can place them in a way that it's, we don't want to turn it into a tile floor, but
No
they can
pattern.
be maybe a little more regular than you typically see if that helps sort of with visual sort of aid to getting through the space. The other thing maybe to point out is that we are going to have walk-off mats at all the entries. They're going to be recessed, so they're going to be same level as the floor. We need that for lead, because we don't want to track any pollutants into the building, but it'll also help with people just getting their, most of the moist of their feet before they step onto the floor. So that should help with that concern.
We bring more samples in to you to see them, talk about finishes, and there are a lot of finishes to minimize any sort of.
I mean, I just think it's a liability thing and we have a lot of elderly people. That's easier for wheelchairs. It's easier for rolling bags. It has its good part. I just telling you my thing. So definitely not carpeting there. So this is probably the best, least of all evils.
Is there a coloration?
I don't know. I mean, I may just be like losing it unique,
Well, with that in mind, I am wondering, I am wondering sort of what trends there might be in ADA compliance with regard. I mean, look, America's
With
aging,
floors.
and right, and so floors in public spaces. What are there any trends? Is there any data to show in terms of ADA compliance, particularly with mobility impaired? Yep. Okay.
Excellent product. See if most airports will. Your point. Make sure you're right.
Yeah.
Good.
Based on those shots you're seeing now, the image is in the main area, so just come through ticketing, we've gone through security, we're walking into the main high roof space, the overall area. You can start to see this backdrop here where there will be food service and bar. There's tables that be served with different food, lots of different seating opportunities, and look back out towards the overall plaza on the land side. There's other seating that will be throughout this area to be able to look out to the aircraft. It's just one spot. And from here, you can be called to a gate. You can see where the gates are. So this is a place to relax, do your business, get on the phone, have something to eat, something to drink. Space. Land side, their side.
And maybe to point two things out, since you last seen this, probably, the bar used to be in the center. So we've kind of consolidated the food prep with the bar just to increase efficiencies and have less staff necessarily walking in between passengers. So hopefully that enhances the experience. And then, as we know, this is progress, but what you can see is that we're really trying to bring the shapes from the courtyard into the lounge area to make that connection stronger than it was before. So you can obviously see out, but there's also formal connections that run through it. This looks a little empty, perhaps, also because there would be more people, but we're also, of course, making sure that we've got the seat count for all the gates that you have at the airport. So those two things are, I think, moving the bar and kind of creating that formal connection to the courtyard, really the key kind of updates to see.
We really like the change in the bar location because it makes that feel more like a restaurant.
It defines it more. And also, I mean, just them carrying food back and forth further, they spill it, they drop it. It should be a lot, I'm gonna say, cleaner and easier to keep up than having white people also carrying food across the big span. So, yeah, I like that. John?
Yeah, I have a question on the prep area or the prep, the food prep. I mean, can we kind of go into that? Because I know that there's a lot of back and forth, and I just kind of want to hear from what you guys are working out.
Yeah, so we're gonna actually meet with
Jim.
this afternoon.
Okay.
But let's go through all that.
Yeah.
Working in its overall location, I think looks great, but I think we're good one round with him, but getting how that plays out.
Yeah.
We'll be able to do the.
Yeah.
Serve,
That's,
connection as it goes.
these are the questions that I don't, I just hear the questions. I have no answers. Okay. So it'd be good.
And this also goes to rental space of what we charge him. Because if it's more defined, then we know this is your space and this is what you're going to pay us. Whereas if we just stick him out there in the middle of the dance floor, it's questionable, like who's sitting there just on their computer, but they're not eating, but they're using his space. So I'm just thinking from a,
You're right, it does define the area better in every respect. And the service can be, one of the exhibits that we looked at had devising a dividing wall or dividing partition that really emphasized the fact that behind that partition is where you eat. And it was adjacent to the bar that's been pushed up against the wall. It really felt more like a restaurant, which would, I think, then compel people to sit in that area rather than out. We wouldn't want to restrict them to pick up something at the bar and walk out. It just is a better definition of a restaurant space.
so I know downstairs they have a problem. I guess it was TSA, they had the problem, people taking a alcoholic beverage out of the area, right? Taking it into the holding. Well, how far will they be able to wander with a beverage in a something like this?
Our hope is that they'd be able to have a beverage anyways here. Some of that's going to depend upon California law, which is currently being reviewed by the legislature about open containers throughout the terminal building. We'd like to have them open throughout the building. I just think it's more efficient and it's a better use of our space. Unclear as to where we're at in that process, but right now it's really defined by the license itself and the license defines. Yeah.
questions on this area, more I want to share with you.
Carl, do you have questions, comments on this area?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I actually had my hand up for when we were talking about the floors.
Oh, sorry,
can't they-
I can't see you.
I know, I did have my hand up though. But I know how tough that is.
But you're
Um,
not on my screen at all. That's what I'm saying. So somebody else is having to monitor your hand, not me.
Okay. So the only comment I had, can't they put like a design on the build into the floor? Either art or a symbol or something to break it up if that's a concern?
So you're saying like change a different color terrazzo?
No, I think I've seen these where they've actually put like art into the flooring or
Yeah, like Seattle has
symbols or
fish.
some. Yes.
Yeah, those are the divider strips that typically zinc, that I was referring to. And there's like I said, a minimum, or no, a maximum dimension that you can do the terrazzo sections, but there is no minimum. So if we want to kind of test that out, we can, mock up some like tape on floors and see what feels right as a recurring pattern and how that potentially improves walking experience. So absolutely, we can look at that. Maybe not the
So-
fish, but
Otters.
Yeah, more so than dividing, I actually thought they could customize any symbol into the floor because this is like a poured product, or is it come in slabs?
yeah, this is poured. So those zinc strips are flexible, so they don't have to go in straight lines. I'll bet you when our designers first laid this out, they'll all go in straight lines, but we can work through that. And they can go in spirals and circles, and they can create all sorts of patterns, like you said, with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That might break it up a little bit if that's a concern.
Can I just say on this one, I think it's that darker color wood and it's the lighter color mullion. And I think that's really, and it's whiter. That's, for me, that's a very pleasing, open color palette. But I would have to say that if you were in my house, that's kind of what you're looking at. So it's what I live with. So I was sitting here thinking, why do I like it so much? I'm like, it's home. But
Here, and we haven't put any chairs or people on this line that gets involved or development with where you're looking right now is in the concourse area on the plan. We're down at this very end at gate number 5, the last aircraft. And there's a glazed area here that will ultimately have in plan a garden that you'll be able to look out to. And there's some seating down here, and then gate 5, you can see right there. So to again show the wood, the overall palette. Very and this area will have a combination of carpet where there's seating, and they'll also have crossover circulating back. Also seeing this view.
can I just ask, so carpeting under the seats, I've had about 6 plane rides in the last month. People spill their coffee and they drop their chips and they just leave it. And on the carpet, it really stains it quickly. Do we want carpet at all in there if we're gonna?
Good question. I agree. Carpet is much more difficult. And it gets ugly and scary and over.
Burbank. It smells to high heaven.
So we could do all terrazzo. terrazzo, changes the.
What do we do for echo then? Does it
Yeah, we
sound
do that.
dampening?
Yeah. I mean, the carpet does help with that, so
Yeah.
of course, any surface you put like soft material on will help with the acoustics.
Okay.
But there is a way to.
Yeah,
get it.
so what you kind of see at the rendering, that the beams that are spaced across through here, and right in between, we'll have expression of some with ceilings, we're also gonna have panels that are acoustic panels.
Yeah, okay.
So that'll absorb a lot of the sound. So that's the intent here, is to make that part of the overall architecture and interiors, and not the panels that are. Timeless.
In a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask that we just take a 5-minute break. So just be prepared. So.
And building is very strong, very wood, but there are certain elements for seismic security throughout California. We see some bracing that's throughout the building, trying to hide as much of that, but sometimes you'll actually see it, it'll be expressed. So what you see in this rendering is exactly that idea, braces that are steel that will finish in a very nice way and painted, but that'll be expressed very so often. You've seen at the base along here, the metal, darker metal etching ornaments, that's ventilation over here, and it'll be along the windows edge. The building.
Are we going to have that glass that changes?
We have not talked about that. That may be cost prohibitive. I don't know.
It's usually another buildings. It's expensive, they're very expensive. There's different levels. Currently, we don't have that.
Does it offset the cost of electricity, of heating and cooling the building? Because it keeps the air from building up and getting so hot with solar gain.
Yeah, the main benefit is that you don't need to have blinds on the windows, so, or shades, I should say. So on this facade, particularly, we're gonna have some heat gain and glare in summer months. So the top portion of this, we're gonna have shades that would come down at those points, and they help with both keeping the heat out and preventing glare. So if you do the like view glass or similar products, you can turn it a little darker and you maintain sort of that visibility through the glass without having to do the shades. So that's usually the trade-off. Either you do the shades or you can go with electrochromic glass. But it is more expensive. Every pane of glass has its own IP address, and there's wiring that needs to go through the ceiling. And so for us, there would be all of a sudden a lot more that we would have to manage as far as cabling is. So that's not a concern. But currently the main thing is just the cost. It's significantly expensive, and don't know if there's long enough track records available to kind of prove the cost benefit.
Can you gain some of that benefit by changing the coloration of the glass, kind of like almost polarization of the glass? Right.
We're gonna be looking at very efficient ways so we can help that gain and reduce that weight out, because this glass we brought today, it's not exactly the glass that we plan to use, but these are all dual pane glazing. They will be as clear as we can get them, but we'll also have different tints that we're gonna be looking at that will actually bring all that down for way down, layering.
Well, I know when I first came on the board, this was not glazed. You didn't have that tint on it, and on a warm afternoon, you could just feel the the heat, yeah, it would get really warm back here. Now we always complain because it's too cold, but you know, we just love to complain. That's elected officials. But it does make a big, difference.
So I think the microphone will definitely get this lighting the glass a little bit more. So blocks that out. So block that it's north, you don't need that daylight in, but southern exposure will get. We'll bring those to you.
And to be clear, this glass, I mean, to us, seeing a lot of, you know, different colors, blues and dark grays. This is quite transparent.
Mhm.
But these characteristics meet all of our requirements for the energy.
Okay.
So this is not sort of, you know, a sample we show you now and then we come back with something that's twice as dark. This is actually the level that allows us to meet all of our energy targets.
So I'm going to say back that one you just had, see how dark that big brace is? And then the one before it was the lighter. It's just lighter on there. I just have to say over and over, me personally, I like that. Lighter, it doesn't just hit you like I'm a big black brace. Could we take 5?
That's their last name.
Okay, okay.
Unless you like that, and then if it comes, we go on 5 just as you requested.
Director Pitt has something he has to do. So we're gonna lose him. So can we take 5?
Yeah, we'll take 5.
We're taking 5, Carl. Okay, we are done with our break. We are back in session. It is 9:32.
Right now, the doors are in front of you in this view. That would be the 2 point. Parts here in the comfort and comfort the craft of components. Outside now. Cars are, see car. I see. That's a lot more to come on this. There'll be signage that'll be starting to most food. Materials, colors, architecture, interiors, that be simple wayfinding all the way to all these places that they will sign.
Can I, if I may, that's right here.
Correct. It's right.
Yeah, okay.
So you know, further in 5, you walk through and you go past the lounge, and you'll see signage past the lounge that'll draw you here to come into this area.
What are these offices? Is that, what are those little? Yeah, what is that?
So those are restrooms. They're
Oh,
restrooms.
got it.
And then restrooms, and also
Got it.
2 banks of restrooms.
Yes, okay.
So one of the things I learned at the conference, which made perfectly good sense to me, and it came from 2 airports that have just remodeled or built, is that when they designed their restrooms, they designed them so that for cleaning, you only close half of the restroom at a time. And I think that is brilliant, having just been in Dallas where they closed the men's restroom that was close to our gate. I've never seen such a lineup of men outside of a restroom before, because it's a long walk to the next restroom in DFW. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that idea back because I do think it has a lot of merit that people can still go in and not have to walk down to another one, particularly if it's pretty close to when your plane's boarding and you're just like, oh, I'll make one less stop. So
Great point. Make sure that we look at that.
I don't know if ours are big enough, but
They're definitely smaller.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that they're both smaller, so that becomes an issue. Typically, you create sort of 2 lanes running close one side off. We still have the
Yeah.
6. And I think the distance right between these 2, just count the gates and the queuing, and these don't have all the area for seating between them is a lot shorter than you would see at those.
No,
large
I
airports too.
hear all of that. I
Yeah.
just, I heard that and, somebody paid for me to go to the conference. So, I hear things.
But to that point, we're going to talk more about restrooms. One of the things that you can really mess up is not having fixtures in the facility. And I think we need to be very cognizant of how many fixtures we have so that we have to avoid that, has to avoid those problems. I don't know if we can necessarily get to the, maybe you guys, you're the creative geniuses. Is there a way to get there with multiple points of entry? But I think we have to be really cognizant of how many fixtures we have. So, that everybody I know, including myself, does that last
stop.
before queue.
Yeah.
And along that line, I mean, on this topic is very important to to travelers, but I mean, we know, and our staff has done an amazing job once 9/11 happened and they had to close off the terminal and have secure side and unsecured, but the side of our building where United is woefully underserved with a restroom. And I think we finally had our first dirty restroom complaint since I've ever been on the board, 16 years. And it was because that whole thing gets so overloaded and if somebody makes a mess, it's just the way it is. So it's not a lovely topic, but it's a very traveler centric topic and we're known for our clean restrooms. So we would like to keep it that way. So.
Also, bigger stalls. Small stall.
And a shelf and a hook. So that's important because people have things that they want to put up on a shelf and things then that also hang over the door. So, and not have to put it on the floor of the stall.
Maybe a quick point on these doors. So this is a system that is a one-way system. It's a double door system. You're familiar with it, and it doesn't require supervision by airport security or TSA. So because now we're obviously further distance between the checkpoint and the exits.
So do we eliminate the need to have somebody sitting there? Which is, I guess I heard is in the new thing, non-reimbursable. That's what I heard at the conference, that it's.
The, what I think you heard was law enforcement reimbursement.
Correct.
TSA.
Yes.
This is what you see at San Jose.
Yeah.
So
You mean the multiple
double.
or Yeah, I see that in Portland has it too. and-
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
most airports.
Yeah.
TSA. It works well for us.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Phoenix does not though. It's still, it's wide open. It's a big gangplank.
Wait for it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that makes perfectly good sense.
On this exit image, not the most memorable picture of all the ones that we've showed you today, but this is the end of our presentation. So want to thank you again for your time and patience with us, but most of all appreciate your feedback.
Can I ask, baggage claim is really a big area. Is that in anticipation that we are going to have two things, or is it?
Ultimately, we need to have that. Built in. You guys talk about what you did building.
But to the point, we're actually any devices in this plan, so it seems really large enough that there's one large carousel in here, and there's also another carousel that will be at the edge here to allow for that growth and for more baggage.
And for big bags.
For big bags.
Yeah.
Like that. Golf clubs, things like that, sort of sports things that you would see commonly coming to your airport.
Yeah, maybe to clarify that the oversized at this point is not a carousel. If you think of a carousel, like the circular thing, it's just the outfeed at this end.
So it comes out of the wall and
Yeah,
then
which
goes.
is, and it just has a straight section, which is typical for oversized. If there's too many oversized bags, you would still have somebody there that takes them off. The carousel is not shown here, that's why it looks so empty, but it's in the center here. The spacing we've planned, so you could turn this feed into a carousel if you would expand that direction. And our baggage system is big enough that golf bags can just go onto the carousel. So unless somebody has indicated that, you know, it's very fragile or whatever reason, it has to go through a separate system, the belts that we're putting in can accommodate golf bags.
Yeah, I see golf bags now all the time going through regular.
Yeah.
Before we leave, one thing on the, is there non-security bathroom? Where is that? Non-security area bathrooms?
Non-secure restrooms here for baggage claim. So you come off the aircraft and you're moving, waiting for your bags. There's restrooms back over here.
Okay.
And there's restrooms also here as you're ticketing and
Got
waiting
it.
to get in queuing for
Yeah,
TSA.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
also
yeah.
restrooms. Okay, that lands that. Thank you very much for all your input, your comments. We really appreciate it.
So we don't have, that's it, we don't have to decide anymore, like you have all the,
So I think we like,
yeah, I'd like, yeah, that's.
let's see, what wood was it? That wood.
Right, there were the three.
The Douglas
sections, and
fir.
there's I think everybody went
Yeah,
that far left.
like the light panel on the exterior, white or a variation of that.
Yeah.
Like the kind of the warmth that Douglas fir, understanding that we will probably leave the specifications a little open as a deduct alternate, depending on how the bids come in. But that's kind of our base of design. Then, and then the mullion, this color, this lighter color is sort of the close to the darkest you'd like to go. You don't want too much contrast. Yeah, that's correct.
Is that what you thought? And
Yep,
is that what
I
you-
agree.
Okay.
And then the horizontal
And the
panel.
horizontals. Yeah.
Right. Terrific. Thanks. Yeah.
Carl, do you have a hand up on, you want to speak on any of this?
Take a minute, he dropped off and then he's coming back.
Getting late there,
It is.
time for dinner.
Espresso.
Yeah.
Carl?
I'm back now. I think I missed what, if you're asking me something.
Now, I was asking if you had any wrap-up comments on anything we've talked about.
I think the plans look great. I love the renderings. I love the wood look inside. Excited about moving forward. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you're fine. You're gonna show those in this afternoon. You can leave them. We don't care. Whitney, it looks like somebody had, oh, they have more stuffed bags over there. Marcus.
Yes. Good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Mike. So what I heard him say is, plan set, biddable plan set in November.
Yeah.
are we planning on bringing on someone before that based on the,
It's in the parking lot, right now. In the parking lot, we're doing CMR. CMR.
that's the at-risk? Got it, just for the parking lot.
Yeah.
Got it. Thanks.
Looks like that.
More resolutions and that's multitasking. like I
Okay.
haven't done in a while. They work great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
We are item 4, which is to entertain and hopefully approve the gatekeeper taxi management system agreement extension and authorize the executive director to execute.
I'm going to be discussing this with you guys
Okay,
today.
Whitney.
Hello again, everyone. So just a little bit of historic background on the taxi management software. So back in 2020, and all of this is available in the staff report. Back in 2020, we were kind of in a hybrid system where we were using beacons, which were small plastic boxes that were affixed to the front windscreen of each vehicle to read at certain points on the airport. That technology became expensive to manage, so they suggested another solution for us in the form of OBD devices, so just onboard diagnostic devices. Those are the little ports that the dealerships use to read the troubles of your vehicle. So there's a device that they stick into the port that does not obstruct the windscreen and has a more reliable signal and does not rely on point-to-point ports to read. It's just a geofence technology that works much better. So we operated in that hybrid model 2020, 2021, and in 2022, we went fully with the new OBD devices. They warned us back then that there would be a slight increase of cost when we moved to this new technology, but they promised us that they would keep it relatively steady after we transitioned, if it was a successful transition, and it has worked very well for us. So today we're seeking to continue that relationship with Gatekeeper with the same geofence technology. The costs have been the same as mentioned earlier in previous fiscal years. The rate will remain unchanged. We're at about $36K for the year billed at a monthly rate. Agreement will be effective August through July, and we are recommending, operations is recommending that you approve the executive director to exercise an extension on this contract for the Gatekeeper software.
Okay, open it up for public comment. I see no public. I'm going to close public comment. Director Miller, comments?
Yeah, I have a question. Are we still checking to make sure people are buying the permit from us?
We indeed are. We have kind of like an open enrollment process that takes place in the summer whereby everyone can buy their permit for the year. If we do get new taxi operators on an ad hoc basis during the year, they are prorated based on how many months are remaining in the year. So yes, we do have still an active permitting system.
And about how many taxi cabs have permits from us now?
Right now, we have about 30 permits with about 25 active operating taxis in our system.
So this system is costing us a lot more money than we're taking in, correct?
So money is not only made on the permit. So they pay a permit fee per year, but we also get a trip fee per trip. So depending upon the number of trips the taxis make, depending upon the number of flights we have, et cetera, there are multiple streams from the taxi system.
Well, I know at one time it was very profitable to be a taxi cab operator at the airport. I'm just curious with the Uber and Lyft, has that changed?
I think on average, we do have more TNC, Uber and Lyft hiccups, drop-offs, but taxis do still operate. And there is some seasonality to the business, but it also, it ebbs and flows with our flight schedule as well.
Okay, thank you.
Director Pick?
I imagine this will come up at our annual taxi authority meeting, so I appreciate the information. Good presentation. Nothing further.
Director Gagliardi?
In honor of my chair, I should probably not go with this. Is that what I understand? No, I have no questions. I thought it was a great, I mean, we talked about it.
Well, believe me, those of us who've been here a long time took such a beating to get all of this started, especially with the regional taxi authority. So it's been really good not to have somebody on the curb trying to figure out who's doing what. So we used to have an employee down there
Man.
who would monitor them and call them up. And it's just, that eliminated that cost, which was immense. And it was a lot of complaints and a lot of confusion. And we get very, very, very few comments about, how it runs. The one thing is there's just not enough taxis, but we don't regulate that.
No.
We have no control over them. So. Yeah, they can't.
Yeah.
They can't. So,
But they make a lot of money off off the MPE, Monterey Peninsula Transit. They make quite a bit of money. They have contracts.
yeah,
They provide rides.
it's particularly handicap.
Right.
Taxi drivers make money from MST.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of contracts.
Well, and the taxis, to the point of they're the only ones that have the handicap vehicles.
That's right.
Uber and Lyft don't. So in order to accommodate anybody that needs a wheelchair or anything, that is so important to have the cabs. And MST actually buys those vehicles and leases them to the cab drivers to make sure that our region has enough coverage. So, yeah. So I would entertain a motion on item 4.
So moved?
Second?
Roll call.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, thank you. Okay, number 5, resolution number 1874, a resolution approving the professional services agreement with Tartaglia Engineering for design services for 28 left and 10 right.
Okay, thank you. I will be taking this one. Good morning. So for a few years, the airport has been imploring FAA to not only fund the safety enhancement program, but also our runway improvements. We have some spalling on the touchdown areas in both directions, 28 left and 10 right. And it's been since 2008, since we last did an overlay on the runway. So based on that and based on FAA's requirements, we keep a hiring list. We do a statement, we ask for a statement of qualifications from qualified firms, and we, at staff, review those and put together a list for potential projects coming forward. Tartaglia was identified as the one to do a project for the runway and to put together the design and bid specifications for that project. Recently, FAA has told us that they believe they can give us the funding this fiscal year, so we are moving quickly to get that design completed because their fiscal year does end on September 30th. So with that, we have negotiated a scope of work. We've done an independent fee estimate on that scope of work with Tartaglia to do the design and bid specifications for this project for a contract not to exceed $159,036. Because this is design bid build, we will outlay the cost for the design. And when we have the bids in hand, we will submit our application for full project, which will include these costs as preliminary construct project cost, as well as construction management that we will then negotiate later. So the bid or the grant application will include the design, the cost from the contractor to construct, and our project management cost as well when we submit that. But currently, right now, to get to that place, we have to do design. So this will be outlaid first under district funds and then reimbursed when we do that.
Bless you.
Bless you. With that, I'd ask you to consider resolution number 1874 and approve the contract with Tartaglia Engineering to get our design done for our runway improvements. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I'll open it up to the public if there are any questions or comments. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment, bring it back. Director Miller, I'm going to start with you.
No, I think that's great that you were able to get funding for this. I'm ready to go on this.
Director Pitt,
Yeah, ditto. Good work.
Director Gagliardi.
No question. Very happy.
Me too. I love this. It's always nice to find a little extra money laying around that we can use. That's right. So I would ask for a motion from my board.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Director Gagliardi?
Aye. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Item 6, resolution number 1875, a resolution approving of a professional services agreement with Telemetrics Integrated Systems to provide installation of the ARF crash alert system.
Again? Got this one too.
It's all
Okay.
about you, Chris.
So, as we know, we built a new ARC facility, and part of that design included the crash alert system. It is our understanding that we have all of the backbone structure installed. We just do not have the front end components, which would be the actual phones and the point of contact. The airport has provided a voice over system. We have a AT&T connection to the building as well, but we just do not have the final components to make that system talk. Based on that and the contractor believing that it's not in their scope to complete, we are moving forward separately with the small procurement process to get that completed. The money is still available from the funds remaining to the contractor because it was a design build and the design was done. So the build, in our opinion, should have been completed, but hasn't. But we do have money left still owed to the contractor to complete this work. So that will be deducted from the final payments. So we have the money in the grant to do that. So with that, we ask you to entertain motion, the resolution 1875 approving this contract with Telemetrics to complete that work that hasn't been finished. Happy to answer any questions.
So if I understand it correctly, this money is in the holdback, the retention.
That is
And
correct.
so while this is all up in the air, we're just going to go ahead because it's important that it get done. So we're going to go ahead and get it done. And then we will just not pay the contractor for this portion of the work that was in the original contract.
That is correct.
Reimburse ourselves out.
Okay. Okay, so Director Miller?
I don't have any questions.
I'm sorry, I didn't open it up to public comment.
Okay.
Okay.
It's another town.
Yes, what, you wanted me to do what?
Turn off your mic.
If you want me to sit back there, I can.
Okay,
Carl, turn off your mic.
okay.
Public comment. I see no public comment. I'm going to close public comment, bring it back. We've heard from Director Miller and Mrs. Miller. Director Pick
I'm good. Thank you.
I'm good.
and Director Gagliardi's good. I'm good. So I would ask for a motion.
So moved?
Directors Pick and Gagliardi and roll call.
Aye.
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 Yes, thank you. Okay, number 7 is an amendment to the service agreement between the Monterey Peninsula Airport District and Disaster Cleanup Specialists. We have Brian up.
I think I got this right. Good morning. give me a moment while we bring up the PowerPoint slide. I'm here this morning to give an update on the project at 2801 Monterey Springs Highway. We have completed what is now being called phase 1 of the project. So far, they have taken the majority of the walls down to the studs. One layer of asbestos flooring that was in the back breakfast area, kitchenette, that was discovered was hot. It has been removed, but unfortunately, they found some additional below it. They've exposed some additional areas of concern, which I'll brief here momentarily. And then they've removed the asbestos ceiling tiles that were in a number of these suites. Some additional areas of concerns, like I said, in the back portion of the building, there was a layer of what they call pebble flooring, which was identified as hot. When they removed that, they discovered an additional 2 and potentially 3 layers of that type of flooring, which will now need to be removed. When they removed the walls, they discovered small pieces of tiling underneath some of these interior walls that they believe are hot based on the experience of the MPAD inspector. So we will need to remove the flooring and then encapsulate those areas. They discovered some mold in the back, which we are going to abate as well. And then there's some additional ceilings, wallboard above the drop ceilings that will need to be removed that was discovered after they did the initial abate. This is just kind of an overview to give you some images of what has been discovered, what has been done, and what they've discovered. You can see the mold on the left-hand image, and that is on both sides of that wall. That's what we're calling the lab in the eastern portion of the building. We have received an estimate of $56,724 from the disaster cleanup to abate the balance of the material that was discovered. Since we created this brief, we have brought out a contractor to give us kind of a rough order of what it might take to rehab the building and bring it back to a better level. They recommended an alternate abatement company. We reached out to them, and during that process, they discovered that pebble flooring continues through that hallway, the length of that hallway. And they have given us an estimate that includes all of the items I've briefed plus that. But because there's so much in the up in the air at this point, and we're still trying to find out the best way forward. We're going to ask to table this motion at this time.
Okay.
If there's any questions.
I guess I
Yes,
have,
go ahead, John.
well, just one, do we then think it's gonna be higher than that? What we talked about in the finance committee, 58 or whatever?
No, so, well, and again, these are some of the things we need to
Right.
discuss. The new estimate that we received is actually lower than 56, and it does include that hallway.
Okay.
So
Is that from a different provider?
it's from a different contract. So that's where we need to reevaluate and see what the way.
Does this have to go all the way back to the finance?
If we change contractors, we'll probably bring that back to finance briefly, if it's pleasure of finance. But the difference is going to be less than what DKI is at proposed, as far as we can tell right now. So it's your pleasure. We would just change the moniker of who we're working with, pay that less by about $8,000.
The fact that it has to come back to the board for approval anyway, might as well bring it to finance and just keep it clean. That way,
Concur.
yeah,
Yep. I was, okay. That's
it
fine.
doesn't take long.
Yeah.
That way it's just in the process.
And one thing that I do want you to understand, and I think we talked about this in finance, is this work, regardless of what we do to the building.
Yeah, it has to be done, right?
Even if we demolish the building, this had to be done to begin.
Right.
Mhm.
We're at a point when we finish this, we can make some
Right.
the way forward.
Yeah. Okay.
Director Miller, questions, comments? Okay. Public, is there anyone from the public who has a comment on this? Any hands raised? Okay, no hands raised. I'm gonna close public comment. Yeah, I think the important thing is that they just get it all so that then we can move forward. Otherwise, if we start rehabbing it and find something else, then everything has to get stopped. And so, yeah, I'm appreciative that somebody else took a look at it and found something else. or not, but at least we'll get it out of there. So,
Nice. Thank you.
okay, thank you. That item is tabled. To be determined. Number 8 is an appointment of a new Special Districts Association liaison. And the way we operate is that this is the chair's nomination and the board can approve or not. But we all, at the beginning of this year, decided what outside organizations we would represent the airport on. And it has been 2 meetings since the first of the year for special districts, and Director Sani has not been available to be at either of those meetings, nor did I hear from her that she was not going to be at those meetings. So I understand that she's got a busy work schedule. She and her husband are still with a fledgling business, and that they're and that she's also working as an outside consultant. So to give her a break, I'm going to ask for one of my fellow board members to step into this role. Typically, myself or Director Miller do not miss these.
Mhm.
I've chaired it 5 out of the last 8 years, I think. But I'm open if anyone else would like to do it. It is on the 3rd Tuesday of the first month of the quarter. So it's always at 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock at Bayonet Black Horse. But if you want to do it, you have to tell me you're gonna be there.
But
Other-
let me have the, I mean, I'm open to it, but this is an evening thing. Right?
It's evening, 6 to 8.
And there's 4 of them. That's what you said. Third.
There are 4 in the year. Mhm.
I'll say yes.
So the next one will be the 3rd Tuesday.
I'm good. All you.
If you're looking for dinner.
Nope.
Well, it's a nice way to interact with other districts.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoy going.
in
I-
the
Oh,
county.
I like them. I mean, it's a good
Yeah.
crowd and it's friendly and
Yeah,
But-
so,
Makes sense that somebody that can reliably attend
yeah, it's not,
is the rep.
so. Director Gagliardi?
yes, please.
Thank you.
right.
So I am going to switch that out. So Director Miller, do you have any comments? He's gone. Do we have anyone from the public who has a comment on this issue? Okay. Well, I think Lisa will probably be relieved that she's not on the hook for it. So just get it done. So anyway, I am making the motion of Director Gagliardi. Do I have a second?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Aye. Yes.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, John.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay. We have board committee reports and acceptance of the department records. So what I would ask is you've got the actual staff reports in your package.
Yep.
If you have any comments or questions on those, that's first. I just want to say that it's really nice to see a full sheet of flights. That's pretty exciting. We used to have like 1.5 pages of them, but of course those were 17 and 50 seat airplanes. So this is very exciting. Anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, I'm going to close that portion. Is there anyone from the public on there with any questions, comments? If so, raise your hand. Okay. Okay. Director Miller, did you have any questions or comments on any of the staff reports that were in the package?
I did not, and I agree. The flight air service is looking great.
Okay, good. Okay, so we have standing committees, and rather than report on any of the internal committees. We're done with that because you had it both in your minutes and in the board report. So, local jurisdiction liaison. I am actually presenting tonight at the Pacific Grove City Council at around 7:30 on the airport. So I'll give them an update on what we're doing. And on June 6th, I will be doing the Seaside City Council. So
Good.
those are both on the agenda. And I believe, are you doing a Rotary?
Not on that subject,
Okay,
but I am doing it.
okay.
But if I may, if you're using any slides,
Yeah, I have it for you.
I'd love,
I have it.
thank you.
Local Agency Formation Commission meets next Monday. We do have a new representative for the special districts, is Mr. Chad Lindley, who is a board member for Monterey Regional Fire District. And he overwhelmingly was selected for that position by the districts. I think he'll really do well. He's South County. He understands agriculture and the need for land for agriculture, but also the need for land for processing and housing. So I think he'll be a very measured, good LAFCO board member. And we have not heard anything more on the pending lawsuit with the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District. What we did find is that, trying to think of his name. Oh, Cal-Am did sign the indemnification agreement. So they have indemnified LAFCO on the appeal. So going forward, we have a full indemnification. And they have agreed that they will pay the fees of LAFCO on the appeal, the full fees. So it won't come out of anything that the special districts are assessed to have to pay more into. Nor will it come out of the county or the city. So it's all on Cal-Am. And then
When's the decision on that?
we don't know. They keep putting it off. So, still in the appeals process of getting all the paperwork in.
Be interesting if the district changes management, whether the same fervor is.
Same board.
Yes. Yeah.
I am so sorry. I made myself a note and left the note next to my chair at home. Just one more thing. It'll come back to me in a minute. So Regional Taxi Authority.
It's meeting in June,
Okay. Once a year.
once a year, whether we need it or not.
TAMC Director Miller. Were you out of town for that?
I was out of town and I have nothing to report.
All right. I did see that the Castroville mural has finally been completed as of yesterday, and it looks really beautiful. So that's on that walk across over Highway 156. It looks really, really good. I think there's going to be a lot on TAMC in the next month. One of the things I do want to just point out in case you didn't see it is that Highway 101 is going to close one southbound lane on Friday night at 8 p.m. and that lane will not open until 5 a.m. on Monday morning. So for anyone who is on Highway 101, it's going to be interesting. Also, Highway 1 at Capitola has a closure and a detour around as they're working on that new overpass. So we're getting into beach season and we're getting into high tourism season. And so the impact on our roads and traffic is going to be pretty significant. So. Special Districts Liaison, we did not have a meeting this month. And there is still, though, the conference for Special Districts Legislative, which is the 21st, 22nd. And I was actually going to go, not at our expense, but at my expense. But we're having our budget hearing the same day. So we going.
Yeah.
So it's in Sacramento. Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments. They had an interesting study on the amount of time it takes for the buses of what they're putting as a new metric. And that they want the buses in the rural areas to be every 30 minutes and in town every 15 minutes. And they feel like it will really give better certainty to people who are using the transit system to be able to know that if they miss a bus, they've got another one, particularly in the rural areas, coming in another 30 minutes. Right now, it's been between an hour and 15 minutes. And if you just barely missed it, you're just sitting there waiting for a pretty significant amount of time, which means you're probably really going to be late to wherever you were going. So I think that was probably a really good metric. And I did not write out my report from the conference, but I will get that for our next meeting. So as you've heard, I learned all about bathrooms and something else and more. So I think that's what I had, but it was a good conference. I think Carl and I both learned quite a bit and it was worthwhile. So pending requests for future agenda items. Anybody?
Nothing for me.
Ditto.
Okay, we need to start on our executive director's review. So Scott, can you send out the forms, please? We're not going to push this till September. We're going to do it on a timely basis this year. Thank you. Anything else that anybody has? Director Miller, anything? Shall we say buona sera?
Ciao.
Buona notte?
Buona
He's
notte.
not going to sleep
Buona-
yet.
No, I'm good. Ciao.
Okay.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Arrivederci.
See ya.
Vediamo.
Okay, it's 10:17 and I will consider us adjourned.
Awesome.
20 minutes.